Hi, welcome to my channel. Obviously, this is the first time we met because it's my first video, but I hope this will interest you enough to want to come back for more. My name is Angel and I'm a digital, sometimes traditional artist. So today I'll be just talking, yapping about my OCs. You can use this video as background noise or just something to have literally in the back. If you want to draw with me, I think that would be cool. We draw at the same time. You'll see soon enough that I love to have something in the background too. Like, I need to have something in the back while I draw, or I'm just not locked in. So you'll see it. It looks kind of unprofessional, but I need it to be there. So please bear with it. And just for some background information, the character we're going to be drawing today is Cal. Or Callian Bayrick, whatever. Ugh, I hate using his full name. Like, it's cute, but it's so weird. You know, it's like calling your friend their full name. Like, if you have a nickname for them, like calling them their full name is like, oh, icky. So basically, he is the main character's love interest in a maybe soon-to-be webcomic I have planned for the future. Definitely not anytime soon or stuff like that. Called Thronebound. It's giving enemies to lovers, forbidden, royal fantasy, medieval type of vibe. But definitely I'm working really hard on the character and character development and, you know, world building and all that. So my characters won't be flat. So hope you stick with me, give it a shot, and let's draw. Let's get into it. Okay, just a disclaimer, now, like, I don't have a script anymore, so I'm just raw dogging it. So if you hear any mistakes, me, you know, oh, actually, I don't have a script, so be patient with me. But starting off, I think we can start, you know, with the fun stuff. Just talk about his main, his just his main vibe. And like just who he is currently, because I do want to get really like deep into his backstory and stuff, you know. So I'm just gonna have fun. I hope it feels natural. I have a mini mic right now. That's all I have at the moment. So mini mic it is. So please just be patient with me. Like, this is my first time living too. So Callian Bayrick is currently 20. I'm still between 20, but I'm leaning more 20. So I'm not gonna go big into his love interest, which is like, I don't want to say commoner, but definitely giving more commoner than like anything else. You know what I'm saying? So his love interest, Saris, we'll get into her in another video. Trust me, she has a lot of stuff I want to talk about too. So we'll give her own time, but they have a 2-year age gap. 2-year age gap. So she's currently 18. I was deciding either 18 or 20 herself. So she's 20, he's 22. I don't know. I was still debating it. You know, these characters are fairly new, so they will adjust and they will grow. Actually, this first time I was drawing, let me take a breather. Sorry. So he's 20, right? We'll say 20 for now. I'm pretty brief when it comes to ethnicity. Like, obviously they look a certain way, but it's a made-up world, right? So I'm not trying to get too much into the world building, because like that's a little complicated. Just know their kingdoms have names, so that's all we need here. That's where our barriers go, and that draws a line. So Callian is the prince of Varamont. Why did I say with an accent? You know, wabi sabi, you can do both. You can say Varamont and you can say Varamont. You know, have a little accent. He's not French, but yeah, I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry. This is gonna sound very stereotypical, but once we get into the backstory, it makes sense. He was raised by his dad, which is the king, Doi, and a caretaker. Big surprise, his mom died. Oh my gosh, big surprise. Who would have guessed? We'll get into that in a little bit. Callian definitely has, I wouldn't say the hardest mental life, but definitely a lot of pressure, and he's definitely a lot of identity problems. He's a very big overthinker, pobrecito. He's anxious, you know, and on the outside it's very weird because it's like, you know, no one saw the signs, right? Like, where were the signs? It's just sometimes there's no signs. With him, it's really an internal thing rather than exterior. You can see it slip through, you know, in very specific moments, but he's worked his whole life to be, you know, a certain figure, a certain face, and, you know, he wants to stick by it, period. So he's definitely anxious, but overall he's pretty sweet, he's pretty understanding. You know, at the end of the day, he's a human, right? He will get angry, but he's not the type to raise his voice. No one in his family really was. So, like, anger wise, of course, loud, you know, energetic, but yeah, he's not the angry type. He's more, you know, soaking it in, kind of dwelling, kind of woe is me a little bit. He's very strong, don't get him wrong, he's very strong, but, you know, sometimes people feel bad for themselves, and that's okay, that's normal. And I think positively, he's very proper, he's very polite, he's very, like, you know, I want to do what's best for you, looking out for you type of vibes. Like, definitely selfless, definitely. But, you know, sometimes things change and we start seeing a little change in there. See a little change. That comes later, way later. So I think it's time we can get into his backstory. I just feel like it's also the most interesting. Like, I can talk about his backstory the most, and it's weird because a lot of it doesn't involve him, so a little weird, but it's fun. Okay, let's start off down to the nitty gritty, how his dad and his mom met. Very brief. It's not something I've thought too much about, but it's definitely something, you know, that I wanted to build, especially that his mom has passed. So I wanted to build a good storyline for that. Oh, my little baby, he's so cute. I love him. Okay, starting at age 0, Cal's father, Darian Bayrick, he is the king. He was born into royal blood of, and not only that, he was also born during a war. I haven't thought too much about the war. It was just pretty bad. It left a big, how would I say that? It left a big imprint onto the kingdom. You know, it's been like, what, 50 years, 40, let's not push it. It's been like 40 years since it happened. Or it was a 40-year long war, right? What am I on? That's not what happened. That's not what's happening. It was not 40 years, I'm sorry. I think it was like, yeah, even 40 years later, it still impacts the kingdom. You know, 40 years isn't that much of a long time if you think about it. So, Darian, he was born during this war, and obviously his dad was the king at the time, and his brothers were all training. He had all older brothers, I think like 3, and you know, they're the kingdom's icons, they're the image of the kingdom, so of course they went to the war. And his father died, and all his brothers in that war. So it was a very hard time, you can imagine, for his mother and him, of course. And obviously war is a really tough subject, so this is very brief. This is just backstory wise. And at the ripe age of 14, the big 1-4, Darian became king of Vermont. And, his mother was basically still the queen, right? Helped him, guided him. And while out in the city, Darian doing a lot of city work, helping the people, working for the people, and since he's so young, he didn't really have the corrupt mind, he thought, oh, I'm the king, I do what's right for the people, I do what's right for this kingdom, period. Great mindset. Great job, Darian. Great job. So, now he has that mindset, and he's not 14 anymore. I don't know what age this is, so I'm not gonna lie to you. While out, right, in the town, he spotted this woman, Marissa. She was helping, I don't want to say peasants. She was helping the weak, right? She was a caretaker. And she was in town square helping whoever she could. She was also really affected by the war. Everyone there was. So he spotted her, and while they were shopping, or while he was shopping, he noticed the help that she was giving out, and he wanted to contribute. He's like, whatever she's doing, let me do it too, to you. That's so beautiful. He was touched by it, definitely. And whatever, they fell in love, and no one cares. And then boom, she's pregnant. So that's she's pregnant. Boom, Cal is born. Callie Vayrick is popped out the womb. He's alive, and the family was really good. It was a good dynamic, good people, good hearts. Trying their best to raise this kid, right? Cal wasn't a hard baby, right? He wasn't hard, but he's a boy. So, oh, not to mention, when you think of Cal, think of boyish charm. Think of boyish charm. He's not fully masculine, he's in touch with, he's a good mix, a good middle, he's not an asshole. Moral of the story. Okay, whatever. So this is at the age 3. It's been, a couple more years. Add a couple more years onto 40. And that's how long it was since the war. But of course, people are still affected by it. The town's still affected by it. And Darian soon found out that Marissa used to be a sex worker. In these times, if you were poor, and you'll see something like this again later on with Cyrus's backstory, the best option sometimes is to just sell your body. It gets to a point, especially if you're a woman, it kind of, all roads lead to Rome vibe. So once you've given up like that. So Marissa used to be a sex worker, and it had gotten out, right? Everyone thought it was a rumor at first, and then it just kept on spreading so much, everyone just took it in as a fact. It is a fact, but you know how rumors work. Darian made sure his wife was protected, right? But during a grand opening of new women barracks for women, I love you, Darian. His inclusivity, bro. Marissa got assassinated. And she was assassinated by a soldier who had fought in that war that Darian's father had fought in. And he was pretty young at the time. I would say he was early teens. I don't want to say 11, 12. I'm not saying that. I'm saying 15, 14. Same time that Darian became king, right? Same age. His younger brother was in the war as well. I think his brother was around 11. And I think, as I didn't make up this world in my head, sorry. And he was mad. His brother died. He was mad. and he just didn't know what to do with the anger, and he just took it out on what he could. And then he was like, well, she's a whore, so he killed her. And Cal doesn't have much memory of his mom. He doesn't really remember her. He doesn't know. But he remembers the sounds, like the feeling he felt that day, but nothing too specific. He loved his mom, obviously. He was a 3-year-old boy, but things happen. He doesn't have that much memory of her, and that's sad. But Darian spent months looking for who did it, right? Houdini. And I mean, it was kind of obvious who it was, but where he was, how to get him back. He running, obviously he's not going to stay in the place, he wants to get away with it. So Darian spent a lot of months focusing on that, trying to get justice. Very, very justice surrounded family. And that was the time that Cal was, getting cared for by a caretaker. So that's, him and his dad's relationship was kind of rocky at the time. No way, I'm almost done with the video. Yeah, him and his dad's relationship was really rocky then. I think he was around 5 years old, and he was being rough, he was playing, and he was just getting himself dirty, and his dad just snapped at him, and he's like, you're the prince, you have to have this image of yourself, and you're supposed to show the town an image of what they should reach to be for. And he gave him this huge lecture, but angry, and Darian's never angry like that, so it was like a culture shock. I was like, what the hell? And that kind of stuck with Cal. He was a 5-year-old little boy. It stuck with him, and it just left him with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt and a lot of embarrassment. He's naturally really clumsy, so he'll trip over everything. There's really long staircases in the palace, and he'll hold onto that railing for dear life. If he falls or if he slips, sure, he'll get hurt, whatever. That's not his main concern. He just doesn't want to ruin his image. He needs to be perfect. He needs to be what other people want him to be. So he got really hurt when, his dad had yelled at him. So that is that. And I think we might do a little bit more on the caretaker, but they're really, not a lot to say. Her name is Ziana. Think of her as Hispanic. Literally how she is, Hispanic vibe. She taught him the very basics of politics and combat. She wasn't really into it, but her dad was a huge soldier, huge into politics, super smart. She's a super intelligent lady. And, she was very stern with him, but, they had a great relationship. Even now, they're still close. And at, again, the age 5, Darian had found who it was, kind of brought them a sense of clarity a little bit. He apologized, whatever, and then he got a little sword that was his. It was a toy looking sword, but the base was how his actual base, his actual sword base would be. Every prince has their own customized sword, so that was his. He got a little sneak peek, and at age 9 his training started during the spring. He wasn't very nervous, he was the prince. The whole country loved him. He was the country sweetheart. He was proper, he was polite, he was super cute. He was a super cute little kid. He just didn't want his classmates to be rowdy, because that would get him hyped. Too, and he didn't want to risk losing his image. He's worked really hard for it. He's lost a lot of sleep over it. And he was like a celebrity, so it was kind of overwhelming, but he managed to stay focused. And not only was his teacher really impressed by him, but his family was proud, so he loved training was like, he got good validation from it. At age 13, he got his first girlfriend, but he didn't really like her that much. Just basic stuff. A lot of peer pressure, like the guards, the chefs, the workers at the palace, just asking him, hey, do you have a girlfriend? Hey, do you have a girlfriend? Hey, do you have a girlfriend? So he just got one. He's like, this is what the people want, I'll give it to them. You see a pattern, right? So he was with that girl until he broke up with her for another girl that he actually found interesting. He liked her. And her name was Darla. She was from outside the country. You'll see kind of a pattern. You'll see the pattern sooner or later. She was proper, right? She was really nice. She was gentle. She really liked flowers. He really liked that. So he liked knowing something that she liked. He liked knowing the personal stuff. So during the winter, he got her a shitload of flowers. Like a lot. Think of like the huge money bouquets or like the huge glitter bouquets. Think of that. So that was his way of inviting her to the winter ball. Every season they have a ball at the palace just to celebrate, we survived. Just to celebrate. We're always looking for reasons to celebrate. And by this time, Darian's best friend had moved in. It's Lucien Ravel, his best friend, and then his wife. I need to remember her name. I think it was Laura Ravel, and then Aveline Ravel, and then Evren Ravel. So our main focuses will be on Aveline and Evren. Aveline is basically Callion's like female cousin. Think like cousins, like that, but they're not actually related. She is his female cousin, and Evren is his male cousin. Obviously, Aveline and Evren are siblings, and she is older than Evren. So long story short, they had moved in by then. I think they had moved in because of Marissa's death. That, Lucien's Darren's best friend. So he was like, hey man, you need support. And he really did need support. So it was really sweet. They moved in and then they literally just stayed there. So since they're 5, Aveline, Evren, and Cal were all together in that house. So they're like, tight. Aveline and Evren, moved in, whatever. Aveline made Darla a dress, and at the winter ball, Cal and Darla kissed. Wow, good for him. Out in the garden, you're gonna see the garden a lot. There's a lot going on in the garden. It was surrounded by flowers, super romantic, super cute. Cal's a very romantic guy. He learned a lot and experienced a lot from Darla. And, the relationship went on. It was nice, but of course, she is new to this whole royal life. And of course, it's a little, again, culture shocky. So, chicken jockey? Ew. I'm a child, sorry. And she just got greedy. So Darla and Cal had been dating for a year. He's now 14, and he had unfortunately for a reason, he had lost his virginity to Darla, and it definitely wasn't his idea of his first time. He was thinking, like romantic, like someone he wanted to do it with. And of course he did want her, but it was just at this time it was not the right time, and he just didn't want it. He felt uncomfortable, but she just kept on pushing until there was a please, or not a please. She kept on pushing until there was a yes. So that messes up with his brain too. He doesn't focus on that too much. The relationship had gone really bad, so he was just like, this hurts me more than it makes me feel happy. So he ended it with her, and then soon after, Darla left back to her homeland. And then age 15, this is the end of his backstory. I am talking a lot. Wow. He had focused a lot on training, kind of forgetting about girls. He's romantic, but he's definitely not focused on women. He's not like female centered, you know what I'm saying? He has interests, and he has a hard time discovering who he is, what he likes, but he likes focusing on it. He likes focusing on self-improvement and training. He loves training. He loves working out, like jogging, doing nice things. He likes being outside, but he worked more on his duties, not on girls, or going out, with his friends, because of course they're 15. Like, this is peak time to go party, and peak time to, during these ages coming up, like peak time. But and it's definitely weirder being the prince. It's hard to go out like that and try to be normal, because you're not normal. You're not. And basically, during that time, he finds out a lot about himself. He has a horse, a childhood horse. They grew up at the same time. Basically, one of the palace horses had given birth, and it was to a little baby, like Morgan horse. She's super cute. She has like a chestnut coat. So he called her Hazel, and he's loved her. He loved grooming her, but it just got to a point where he kind of felt he couldn't, right? It was just a lot of time being taken, a big mental health struggle. So he had just there was some distance between them. It's a horse, she'll be fine. And he reconnected with Hazel. He rediscovered his love for horseback riding, right? Just riding horses around his, I don't want to say backyard, but around the garden, just around the palace. And, super sweet. He loves writing, and that's a big part of his character. He's a huge poetry guy, huge writer. Like, I'm gonna spoil something for you. If I do release it, this is your little sneak peek. There's a part where I want Saris is eventually going to be his guard, right? His personal guard. He's a prince, she's a guard, whatever. Forbidden. I love it. So she's in his room, and she sees something peeking out on his desk. She's like, what the hell is that? So she goes towards it, she picks it up, and right as she opens it, Kyle comes around. He's like, yo, no, and he's like freaking out. He's like flushing, and she's like, what's up? Like, what's in here? And she's super, she smells that. So she's like, what is this? Like, tell me, what is it? Like, and they've built a lot of trust, right? At this point, they built a lot of trust. He feels most himself around her, and he's like, no, it's nothing. Eventually, later on, he tells her that it's writing, right? He likes to write, and he was embarrassed to talk to her about it because she was in a lot of it. So he's definitely like poet. Yeah, poet. He's so cute. So he likes eating, he likes writing, horseback riding, writing and horseback, like poetry writing, and then riding horses. So yeah, so that's he discovered a lot about himself there. And I discovered a lot about him too. I've been thinking about him for like the past 2 weeks. For the past 2 weeks, he has not left my mind, and I've developed a lot about his character, but I still have a lot more to do, and I definitely have a lot more to clear up. Like, this is a rough draft, so I'm really happy you guys are here to experience this rough draft with me. Like, this is him. Like, this is my guy. Like, this is my guy. And I know it's taken a little bit, but here's the finished piece. This is my baby. He doesn't have a background right now. This was just me like coloring him in, because I'm just gonna be talking about him. So, and I also didn't want to work on the background. I've been working on that piece for like 2 hours, so I was just tired. But thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and, you know, drawing with me, and, you know, just listening to my babies, because he's honestly my prized possession. He is my prized possession. Like, I am his mother, he's my kid. So thank you guys so much for appreciating him. And if you want, like, and if you want, subscribe too, because I'm enjoying this. I'm having really fun. So expect more. Definitely check out shorts. I will be posting to shorts too. And again, if you're feeling generous, or if you like my style and you would want a piece of your own, make sure to check out my Linktree in my profile bio. Not in the video description. Maybe I'll put it there too, just so it's easier for you. And if you want me to draw your OC for free for a video, please email me, also in my bio. My business email is there. Email me your OC, or give me your OC. I'm not gonna draw a random character for you. Give me your OC and some backstory if you want, some reference photos, of course, and maybe I'll draw it for a video. So thank you so much for watching, and this was Milky Angel.